Test, test.
Test.
All right, we are live. Welcome, everybody, to Second Take, the George Washington University's SBA's official sports podcast. I am Alex Matei. Unfortunately, today, our co-host, Casey Berger, could not join us, but he will be back with us hopefully next week. But joining me today, in Casey's absence, I have two lovely guests. If you'd like to introduce yourself first, Ethan.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Ethan Yu from China.
All right.
And I'm Alex Morrison. I was on last year with Alex. We were talking about the draft, and I'm the editor-in-chief of the blog here, the SBA. So if you have any blog article ideas, send them to me. I like to, have a simple plug right now of the blog. But yeah, we've been kicking it, and nice to have a connection with the podcast.
Yeah, so lovely to have you guys with me. Thank you for coming on today. And as usual, with any GW SBA stuff, you can find it on our Instagram, GW SBA. We have a LinkedIn page where we post podcasts, blog articles, updates on our events. You can also find our events on our official website. Any updates, of course, you could reach out to Alex if you wish to write a blog article, or myself if you're interested. You can find the interest form on our social medias and our LinkedIn. But without further ado, let's get started. Today's going to be an NBA-centric episode, but we'd like to talk a little bit first, as we usually do, just kind of not an around the horn style, but just a quick recap of what happened in the NFL this week. And let's start with, I'd like to talk a little bit about the Miami Dolphins. I know it's probably not, you kind of want to start off talking about the teams that are incredible and have impressed, and today we're going to start off with a little bit of the opposite. So the Miami Dolphins fall to the previously 1-5, now 2-5 Browns, losing by a score of 31-6 in a game in which Tua threw 3 interceptions. And as of yesterday, we've been informed that there are no expected changes in the Miami Dolphins leadership. And you have to wonder what's going on here with the Miami Dolphins. So do you guys have any input on that?
I'd say in terms of the no expected changes, I don't think at this point it's really going to change much between keeping Mike McDaniel to the end of the season, and probably what they're going to do is let him go at the end of the season with the amount of pressure they're going to have.
Yeah.
I think as a Patriots fan, there's a lot. There might be some joy at the Dolphins' demise, just a little bit, just a division rival not succeeding as well. But yeah, I think it's very unfortunate to have had a team that was so bought in for the past couple of years just fall like this. But I think with how competitive the NFL is right now, something like that's always going to happen, especially if you lose a star like Tyreek. And then seeing Tua throw 3 picks in 2 straight games is something very concerning for them.
Yeah, there was a moment during the broadcast where usually between channels they'll have cross-channel breaks on the game, and they were like, breaking news here from the Dolphins game. Tua has thrown his 2nd interception, and they start talking about it, and then at the end of it, the guy says, and as we were talking, Jim, Tua just threw his 3rd interception of the game, which to me just kind of sums up this Dolphins season perfectly. It's just been messy, and you're right. They'll probably ride out the rest of this year just because of the stubbornness of this core and what they've tried to achieve here. But Mike McDaniel is as good as gone. Chris Grier has cemented himself. One of my best friends is a miserable Dolphins fan, so believe me, I'm very informed on the struggles and woes of this team. But Chris Grier, GM, as good as gone. And it just feels like the Dolphins, they've tried something, and for a couple years, this team looked so promising. But the flaws, I think it boils down to offenses that just rely on bells and whistles. Like, I hate to say it, a little bit of the Ben Johnson offense. Like, the Bears haven't been as incredible as we were hoping they'd be, even though they've been very, very good. It's just, I think it's proven that the strongest and most consistent offenses tend to be the strongest ones, and not just like the ones that are the flashiest or the craziest. And I mean, the holes have really shown here. Okay.
And then, if I'm going to transition here a little bit, like the AFC East, that's made it wide open for a team like the Patriots.
Yeah.
Which I've enjoyed too. I like the Jets too. I thought could be a competitor this year with Justin Fields, and they've been an interesting situation. But
yeah,
that's cleared the way for a team like the Patriots who had such an easy schedule. And preseason, I had a lot of hope for them more because that schedule was so appealing, not as much because they were that great of a team. I could still see this team being like a 10 or 11 win team and having a first round exit.
Right.
But they've had the stack of AFC North and NFC South. For those of you at home that don't know, obviously you play one division in the AFC every year, and then you play one division in the NFC. You play all 4 teams.
Right.
And those 2 divisions have been especially bad this year. It's really helped a team like the Patriots.
Yeah.
to be where they are and
No,
where they're going to be.
and that's absolutely played a part. And the Patriots have wildly exceeded the expectations I set for them preseason. This team is electric, and what really makes me happy is just seeing the defense play so well. Just so many great pieces, some under the radar pickups that have really worked out well. Some pickups that they've broken the bank for, and Milton Williams has proven to be everything they hoped he was, which was something that personally shocked me. But yeah, I'm happy for you, man. Happy for the Patriots, and it's just fun to see things kind of shake up a little bit. But we're on a bit of a short schedule today because we want to talk a lot about the NBA. So let's quickly touch on our newly cemented World Series matchup. Heartbreaking loss for the Mariners, and it just to lose in that in such legendary fashion for the Blue Jays, which even if they get swept 4-0 in the Dodgers, this is something to fuel Blue Jays fans for the next 10 years. I mean, that George Springer home run is just unbelievable. But do we see, I don't want to make any assumptions about what people believe is going to happen in this World Series, but do we see any hope for the Blue Jays to potentially upset the Dodgers here?
I think in a final in any sport, you can't always count out the underdog, especially because, I mean, they had a better regular season record, the Blue Jays, than the Dodgers. They'll start at home. They've had an electric crowd all throughout this. I think we actually have the 2 largest stadiums in the MLB. I'd have to get that fact checked, but I know the Dodgers have the largest stadium. So it'll be an electric series nonetheless for either team. And I do think the Blue Jays have a nice rotation. They've got guys that can get on base, get hits, get home runs. I just don't think they can get past someone like Shohei. I think a lot of the complaints are obviously the Dodgers have, they're so deep and they've spent so much money on everyone. Even if the Dodgers just had Shohei and it was a Shohei team with just like
exclusively Shohei
replacement level players, they'd still win this series.
Yeah.
We might be seeing like an all-time great performance here. I may have seen the greatest individual baseball game of all time last week.
It was.
So I think I'm just going to revel in that. And obviously I'm so sad that the Mariners, a team that hasn't made it to the World Series ever in their entire history since 1970. Started as the Seattle Pilots back in the day and then transitioned to the Mariners, had those good teams in the 90s. There's a whole documentary, John Boy's documentary about it. I won't get into that, but I highly recommend anyone to watch that. But
what a run, though. What a run. And it really breaks my heart because it feels like my Phillies were one of the only teams that really stood an honest threat against the Dodgers because to a certain point, this MLB playoffs maybe will be. I'm assuming this claim will be vindicated very, very quickly, but I felt like the Phillies were one of the only teams that really stood a chance against the Dodgers. I mean, the Dodgers steamrolled the Brewers. That was I did not expect that series to go that easily, and I have little faith in the Blue Jays. I do think the Dodgers are going to win this series in Game 5, actually, which unfortunately. It means it'll be in if a Game 5 would be in Toronto, correct?
Nope, it'd be in LA.
Isn't
It starts in LA. It's 2-3-2.
2-3-2, right?
Which means
so
Game 5.
Game 5 is in
LA.
It's in LA. Wait, no, who has the home advantage?
The Blue Jays do. They have the better record.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay, so no, that would be in LA. Okay, then never mind. So then maybe I could be happy with that.
Yeah.
But with that being said, it's time to get into the sport that is beginning in potentially 19 minutes from when this is knowing the NBA, it's probably more like 30 minutes.
Never starts do the banner too.
Yeah,
it never starts.
It never starts.
First game's gonna take a while.
Speaking of the banner, our championship, Oklahoma City Thunder. We have a fan, Ethan Yu here. Yeah. Talk to us a little bit about what you expect from the Thunder this year, and maybe what you expect to see tonight against the Rockets.
I think Thunder also have some ability to chase championship in this year because you have the Shea, Jada, and Holmgren.
Yeah.
But I'm an older Thunder fan. I'm a fan of KD, Russell, James Harden. But yesterday night, I also think about why the old Thunder team can't win the championship, but this young team can win the championship.
Yeah.
In the I a lot of people they hate Thunder, especially they hate Shea Gilgeous. Because he always he always asks the referees.
Yeah.
It's a foul. Foul. So but for this season, I think Thunder also have big ability to
Uh-huh.
win the championship because
Yeah.
they are not only the first person in this team, they also have very very strong bench
Yeah.
of the core like Alan Wiggins.
Yeah.
And some let me think it's Wallace.
Yeah.
Their defense
He
is
looked
very
good.
crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
He looked good.
Yeah.
I'd love to bring up Isaiah Joe,
Yeah.
one of my favorite bench players in the league, who's been quietly shooting like 40% from three the last like 4 seasons. It's not only how star-studded this Thunder roster is, it's that nothing has changed.
No.
Like legitimately nothing. Like they could get better if they
Yeah.
wanted to.
Yeah.
Everyone's re-signed. Shea, J-Dub, Chet, all got big paydays.
Yeah.
Like back to back to back. Nobody's gone.
Yeah.
It's all the same. They won. I'm not going to say they dominantly won the championship because the Pacers, gave them all they had. And if Halliburton didn't, shatter his Achilles or rupture it or whatever the specific injury was, we could be thinking about this team entirely differently. But this is a dynasty.
Yeah.
Like this team it's so good. It almost like gets me mad because like this is a rebuild gone so unbelievably well
Yeah.
that it's like I don't see how other teams that aren't like maybe the Nuggets in the West really hold a candle to the Thunder. It's just terrifying.
I think there really are they might become one of the all-time great teams just in terms of the
Yeah.
numbers. Like they had the highest point differential of any team in a season ever. Just to like put that to think of all the great teams, all the great Bulls teams, all the great Celtics teams back in the day, all the Lakers teams back in the day, the Warriors teams of the 2010s, and the fact that this Thunder team, they're not known for being 3 shot chucking teams or like high like shot volume. They just will beat you down offensively, defensively across the ball. And it's just, I think I agree with Ethan. Like they're going into the season as the favorites because nothing has changed. This is what championship teams do. They just like retain their guys, and they're so locked in that it continues.
Yeah. So many people guess Isaiah Joe and Alan Wiggins.
yeah.
If they come to another team, they will be the core of the team.
Yeah.
Yeah, they will make a lot of crazy things in that team. Yeah.
No, it's they have just so many guys, and like to think tomorrow, if they wanted to, they could go out and get Giannis and just keep their entire core intact. Terrifying thought, by the way. It's just this Thunder team. I don't even want to get into their draft capital. I mean, you wouldn't know that this team is just unbelievable, man. And like I know you've gone through some heartbreak that you couldn't watch one of the most iconic trios in basketball of Kevin Durant, who we'll speak about in just a second, Harden and Westbrook win that championship. But I hope this is at least a little bit like redeeming to you watching this team win and dominate, and I think you're in for another season of it.
Can I transition a little bit into that?
Sure.
Because maybe that's the next thing you're bringing up.
Yeah.
But I want to ask Ethan, of those 3 guys now, because we're going to have Westbrook in Sacramento.
Oh, my God.
We have Harden in L.A., and we have Durant in Houston now, which, 2 of those guys on different teams. All 3 of them are going to be, like, not like the leader in terms of, like, ability, but they're the biggest veteran presence in all 3 of those locker rooms. So of those 3 guys, of those 3 environments, I guess, which of them do you see like being the biggest surprise or just being the best out of those 3? Like the Rockets, the Clippers, and the
I think the third is Sacramento.
Yeah.
Because I don't know.
I think we can agree with that.
I don't know the Sacramento what they are doing, what their future. Where is their future? I don't know why they want to this. They have the Zach LaVine.
DeMar DeRozan.
DeRozan.
I looked it up. Bill Simmons called them the Hindenburg of the NBA.
Yeah.
They're bad.
But and then who do you have at 2 though between the Clippers and the Rockets? Because they're 2.
Clippers.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would agree. Yeah.
The first I think is the Rockets.
Yeah. I think I really do like the Clippers this year. I think a lot of them are aging, and I think the Kawhi scandal might loom over the team just a little bit. There's a good article on the SBA blog about that if you guys want to check it out. But I think they've got a very well-rounded team. I'm going to look up their roster for one sec. But like John Collins is a player I desperately wanted for the Celtics. I know he was kind of out of their price point.
Yeah.
But, Zubats is such an underrated player.
No, he's
a great guy for them to have had last season.
Yeah.
Norman Powell was kind of on the downturn anyway last year. Like halfway through last year was playing like all-star ball. Bradley Beal's in a new situation. We'll see how that works out. But I just think this is like there's a lot of teams that might need the experience that the Clippers have, and they have so much wealth and experience that I just part of it is just I want this team to win a chip, just because there's so many guys there that like, especially because you said like it's so hard to have had Harden. I mean, he was on the Thunder and those teams, go to so many teams and just not get as close.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of guys here where it would be wholesome.
No, the issue with me, like if you rewind the clock 5 years, this Clippers roster is crazy. But I just think the combination of having probably the oldest roster in the league. I mean, James Harden, Bradley Beal, Kawhi Leonard. That is the trio of doom and despair.
Outstanding by the Gap Band, buddy.
Yeah. Washed anthem. But to have that as the identity of your team and probably not have like, I'm assuming they have like a ravaged draft capital because of all they've spent to acquire players in the future. And then have this Kawhi scandal looming over your head. Like, oh, yeah, you might just lose every draft asset that you have for the next 5 years at the minimum if this ends up being true, which it sounds extremely incriminating. And better, like less negative crimes that have been committed in this kind of space have received like awful punishments, like with any kind of tampering. But this is extreme cap circumvention. To have that looming over your head, like, oh yeah, we have the oldest roster in the league and we might just lose like every future asset we ever have, that puts on the extra pressure to win now. But there's just too much that has to happen. I mean, to ask Harden, Bradley Beal, and Kawhi Leonard to stay healthy, it's something that we would love to sit and fantasize about, but I don't think it'll ever happen in practice.
Yeah.
And now that we've kind of talked about, we touched on the Sacramento Kings. Unfortunately, not much to talk about there. If there are any Sacramento fans listening, my heart goes out to you. I watched a Kenny video yesterday about like fan base satisfaction. Sacramento Kings were in the dirt. It was terrible. We talked about the Clippers. So now let's talk about who the Thunder are facing tonight. And at the helm is former OKC Thunder player Kevin Durant. How do you feel about Kevin Durant this season, Ethan? Do you think he's going to look like his old self and be really good, or you think he's going to be... I think last season he was pretty good, but not like the elite Kevin Durant that we're used to. What do you see for him this year?
The KD already signed with the Rockets, and he said he can make sure his work on with Rockets, with some younger player in the Houston, and he also has some pre-teammates in there, like Steven Adams, like Green. They are also the Green. Let me think. The Green is
Jeff Green.
Jeff Green. He's played with Kevin in the Supersonic. Seattle.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't. Yeah, he did. Yeah. They might be the only two Supersonics left in the NBA.
I didn't know there were two Supersonics left in the league, let alone on one team. That's kind of
on a different team, not in the Thunder organization.
They
made it this whole journey, especially Jeff Green, all those Celtics years. he was one of my favorite old
the
Celtics
KD
guys.
is really happy to meet Jeff Green. He said it's his last, maybe it's his last year or last 2 years in the Rockets. And his goal is help this team develop the younger player and achieve the championship.
Wow. That's music to your ears. Kevin Durant, not always the easiest guy off the court, but to kind of hear that from him, it's very unselfish. But I think what we're going to see from the Rockets is very selfish basketball because, you just look at what surrounds him. You've got Amen Thompson, who to me is a waste if he's not like your go-to like guard 1 through 5 defensive guy. Jabari Smith is deep three shot chucker. And Alperen Şengün is more of like an offensive engine. He just distributes the ball. Kevin Durant is going to be the primary scorer on this team. And so despite this, very selfless approach he's taking to the team, this is going to be, I predict, very selfish basketball because no Fred VanVleet. I cannot impress upon casual fans enough how important Fred VanVleet. Well, even though you hear the name and you think, the washed anthem.
Yep.
But he was incredible last year and crucial in the playoffs. And he is their point guard. And they're putting in Reed Shepherd, who they took him, I think, number 4 overall. Yeah. They have super high hopes for him. I think he can be that guy, but he has to really step into this distributor point guard role. Otherwise, I don't think this team's going to work.
Yeah, it's going to that Reed Shepherd part is going to take a lot of sorting out, especially because they didn't utilize him as much. I think he spent some time in the G League last year too, which going from the G League to a starting point guard of a team that's supposed to compete in the West is kind of a crazy transition. Yeah. And then we were kind of talking earlier, before we started the pod, KD might take a while to come around to this team. He is also aging. He had some pretty good seasons, I will be honest, with the Suns, but the Suns didn't make the playoffs last year, and he had Book as his help last year. And this Rockets team plays a very interesting style of basketball that's I don't know, they were still what? They were a first-round exit last year as well. I do really like Ime Udoka as a coach. He was very good in Boston. Obviously, didn't end up so well. I have them at the 5 seed in the West.
Really?
I think it's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be very competitive. As I said, it's going to take them a while to sort some things out.
Uh-huh.
But I think there are some teams that have cohesion over them.
Give us one of those teams.
Okay, Thunder I have at 1.
Okay.
I have the Nuggets at 2.
All right, I like that.
I have the T-Wolves at 3. Which
interesting.
We can talk about. I think Ant can be the leader of this team, and I think people forget that they've been a Western Conference Finals team the past 2 years.
Yeah, exactly.
I think them and the Pacers are the only 2 teams that made the conference finals the past 2 years.
Right.
And the Pacers probably won't this year.
Yeah.
I had the Clippers at 4. I think we already talked about I'm liking the Clippers.
Very interesting.
I'm liking the Clippers this year. The Rockets at 5, and then I have the Lakers 6, Mavs 7.
Yeah, I like that. Let's take a second to. I think you make a good point here. Let's touch on the Minnesota Timberwolves, which great point to bring up. They've had consistent playoff success, and what that really boils down to is how much Anthony Edwards has truly grown to being considered a top 5 player. I did not think it would happen this quickly, but Anthony Edwards has developed into a borderline elite 3-point shooter. I mean, he shot up to almost 40% from 3 last season. I could get a specific number on that, but that's just unbelievable stuff. Considering, Anthony Edwards, his the motif is, drive to the rim, super athletic, just jump out of the gym kind of guy. And now he has a lethal 3-point shot, and he's already got, the pull-up ability. I think Anthony Edwards could cement himself as, maybe Giannis falls a little out of favor with the Bucks and maybe he's kind of in limbo this year and Luka's still fitting with the Lakers. I could see him kind of jumping into that top 3 to join SGA and Jokic right now. Yeah. He's looked so good, and I cannot stress that enough, that this is the major reason why the Timberwolves just keep winning.
Mm-hmm. I think what I was thinking about earlier with Edwards, what's so interesting about him is that he led the league in shots attempted, I think, last year. So, obviously, as Wayne Gretzky said, miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So, the reason why his points per game is so inflated is because, he's taking so many shots. And I think win shares, which is one of my favorite stats, he's pretty low in. But I think the thing that I like the most about Ant is he passes the eye test more than other players, I guess, in comparison. I'd say, the things he's able to do on the court to lead this team defensively, offensively. He can, cause switches on offense. He can switch on defense. I think of, the image of who was it against last year? I might as well get the Thunder, that big block. He was kind of a chase down block. And he's designed his game to be so much more well-rounded, especially last year. He's 23 years old.
Yeah, he's 23.
He's 24, I think, this year. But last year, I'm looking at his stats.
Are you serious?
He's a 23-year-old. He's a 2001.
Yeah.
Yeah, he born.
So he's 2024. Obviously, I think of the what's the Stephen A. clip? He's 23-year-old acting like he broke, and that's kind of the way he plays. And I think he can really, step it up without having the numbers always be there as much as in comparison to other people, because he's just able to be the leader of the team, and he brings the energy as well. I think that's what I like. If you look at other stars like kind of Shea or Jokic, they're not talking during the game. They're kind of focused on their own game, kind of. Like if they're talking, it's like the kind of I don't mean to say it like this, but kind of nonchalant, like, oh yeah guys, let's go. Like Ant will be the energy for you. Like he's like, the power of that group.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is so many people, they are looking forward to the Edwards lead the T-Wolves, win the championship or do the other things, because people think that Ant-Man nearly like the Michael Jordan. And Ant-Man needed to prove himself in this season. Yeah.
No, this is the time to kind of break through, and I think the Timberwolves have a chance to really make a statement.
Yeah.
So we've kind of talked a little bit about the West. So with the little bit of time we have left, let's touch a little bit on some teams in the East. And just looking ahead to, tonight's all West games, but let's talk about East. And I think it would be prudent to talk about a marquee matchup between the Sixers and the Celtics. From roommate to roommate, Sixers fan to Celtics fan. This game will be watched and screamed at, and fists will be thrown, and insults will be hurled.
You're both a Celtic fan?
I'm a
Sixers,
Celtics fan.
Sixers and
He's
Celtics.
a Celtics fan.
All right.
So there's not a lot of love in between us.
Yeah.
But what a matchup this is going to be, because this is the Sixers' chance. I'll preface this, and I'll let Alex get into a little bit what the Celtics bring to the table. But essentially, Jason Tatum owns Philadelphia, and the modern version of the Celtics makes it very, very difficult for the Sixers to kind of play the basketball that they excel at the most. But without Jason Tatum, this presents like the best chance the Sixers have had to make a statement. I mean, obviously it's the first game of the year, but there were times last year, countless, for the Sixers to say we can still compete. And regardless, going into Boston on the first game of the season with a healthy Joel Embiid, fingers crossed to God that stays healthy. Knock on wood here.
I'm knocking on wood.
This is the chance for, even though, like I said, the Celtics are missing Tatum, this is an amazing time for the Sixers to kind of come out and say, we are not the team we were last year. And kind of bridging off the Anthony Edwards point, VJ Edgecombe, who the Sixers took number 3 overall this year, has looked everything the part and more. He reminds me so much of Edwards, not only just because of his kind of unorthodox shooting motion, just so hungry, so athletic, and he just plays with so much spunk and effort to the point where it really feels like the Sixers team is going to rally behind him. I mean, the nickname is just sitting there waiting to be used. His nickname will be the Generator, because a beautiful story. Him and his family lived off a generator for 7 years. He didn't have electricity, and he worked so hard to make it to the league. And this would be such a beautiful story. And to see VJ Edgecombe maybe come out and make a statement piece in this game one, even if we fall to the Celtics, to me would kind of be a vindication of the struggles that we suffered last season.
Yeah. I think the Celtics are winning tomorrow night. I'm not going to I'm not putting money on it. I'm not a betting man. I would not suggest anyone to put money on the Celtics, especially because, no Tatum. We don't know how that's going to be. But I think what's going to be there is the infrastructure of Joe Mazzulla. And Joe Mazzulla is a madman. And I think we learned that a lot last year, that it wasn't as interesting to watch as the year prior. I think there were some ugly moments where, the 3-shot chucking turned sour. But I think of our game one last year against the Knicks, where we, I think broke an NBA record for number of threes. I think that style of play will still be there. We'll still see Jaylen Brown doing a lot of that. And I think that style of play works really well for Anthony Simons. I think he's going to want to be the primary option. I haven't seen a lot of him playing with Brown, and I'm not sure how both of them will intertwine, because a lot of the stuff I've seen from Anthony Simons is he's been really had to be the primary option so far in the preseason, but they have to make sure that Brown and Simons can get the ball, evenly. They can't both be the primary option, of course.
Right.
And I don't think Anthony Simons is ever going to fill the role that Tatum had.
Yeah.
But they still have White, they still have Pritchard. who, I mean, were number 2 and 3 in win shares on their team last year. I think what goes underlooked is that Brown had a pretty regressive year last year, as did Drew Holiday. KP was hurt for a lot of it. So they have had experience dealing without these guys. And those were some of their best games, like throughout the winter, without Holiday, without KP, without these guys. And so I think this will be a very interesting season for the Celtics. I have them as the 7 seed. I was looking up before this. Of their last 12 playoff appearances, which has been the past 13 seasons, because they made the playoffs 12 of the past 13 seasons, 7 of them, they've been either the 2 or the 7 seed. They've been the 2 seed 4 times and the 7 seed 3 times. So they love that 2-7 matchup for some reason.
So you want them to fill out that last.
Yeah, I kind of think, and I think a
4.
play-in game will be actually motivating for them, that they maybe could surprise them in the playoffs. Tatum could come back in the playoffs. I'm not ruling that out. He was
dunking.
Yeah, he was dunking. If there's anyone who can will himself back to health, it's JT, and I wish him the best in his recovery. Yeah. But I think the East will be so competitive. I mean, not more competitive than last year, but to a point where the Celtics won't be able to compete without an option like JT or without the guys they traded away.
Yeah, no. Shout out Tatum, man, for the development he's shown and kind of progressing through this injury. To kind of finish off this NBA segment, I'd like to go around and maybe when the season is over and 6 to 8 months, we'll come back and revisit these predictions. What is your as the tip off is about 10 minutes away, so you can say you haven't seen any of this. Ethan, and then we'll go Alex and then me. Just give me your NBA Finals prediction and who's winning.
All right.
What do you think?
OKC.
OKC? Yeah. And who do they beat?
MVP.
No, who do they beat? Who do they play in the finals?
I think OKC and Knicks.
And the Knicks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And OKC wins in how many games?
Down there 4-1.
I like that. Okay. Yeah. Thunder and 5 over the Knicks. All right, Alex, what you got?
I'm taking Cavs Thunder.
Cavs Thunder?
I think Cavs, we're still kind of slipping on them. They ran into, the Halliburton Pacers last year. They're another team, didn't make many changes. They have Lonzo now, which I don't think that'll make too much of a difference, but they'll still have Mitchell playing the way he plays. I think I have Thunder in 6.
Okay.
I really can't see anyone competing with a team that, as I said, led all NBA teams all time in point differential. I think the Nuggets will be there. I think the T-Wolves will be there in the West. But I can't see any team stopping the Thunder. I think so. Thunder in 6 over the Cavs.
I like that. I'm gonna switch. I'm gonna mix up a little bit.
Okay.
Because there's nothing wrong with picking the Thunder. I think it's a fantastic pick. But out of the West, I'm actually gonna go with the Nuggets, and that might just be because I love Cam Johnson so much, and I think he's going to break out as a superstar this year alongside Jokic. I still just love what they have going on up there. And out of the East, it's really, I love that it's anyone's game due to the injuries to Halliburton and Tatum. I think it's an Eastern Conference Finals. I think Tatum comes back for the playoffs and wills them to the ECF. But I do think the Knicks get the best of them. As much as I despise the Knicks, it breaks my heart to say that. I'll have the Nuggets and the Knicks in the NBA Finals, and I'm gonna go with the Nuggets in 7.
Okay,
that's
that
my
would be
pick.
A very interesting series.
It would be very interesting.
And to see Jokic win another would be.
Yeah. All right. So, any last-minute quick closing statements from either of you? Any predictions? You have one?
I was going to bring it up. I'm going to shout out one team from the East, one team from the West that I can see. One is going to be good in the regular season, one in the post probably. In the East, I'm going to shout out the Hawks.
Okay,
I see a lot of dialogue on the Hawks. Maybe too much. Usually that means it's not usually good if too many people picking them as a dark horse. But they're going to add KP, who I loved in Boston. Can't always stay healthy, but he can always contribute for them. I love Trae Young. Watched him play last year in D.C. at Capital One. Great player. And then I'm going to shout out the Mavs in the West. Watch Cooper Flagg a lot last year in college. It might take, there might be a couple growing pains with how competitive the West is too. I have them as the 7 seed, but I can see them maybe advancing pretty far in the playoffs. They'll have Kyrie back as well.
Right.
Once the turn of the year happens, probably. They'll have AD. I can just imagine Kyrie with the dribble moves to get past the defender. They bring it down to to flag. Maybe someone has to go help on flag, and then AD's wide open.
Aw.
Flag lobs it up. AD
I love
dunks
it.
it home.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
You'll
That's
see that
great.
a lot.
Ethan, any last-minute predictions for the NBA? Any last statements?
Last statement.
Yeah.
I think Mavs and let me think. Pacers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mavs and Pacers, teams to look out for. Yeah.
Mavs 4 and Pacers 3.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Dark horse.
That's like a
dark
dark
horse
horse.
NBA finals. I like the Mavs.
Uh-huh.
I like the Mavs.
Uh-huh.
I think that's a really fun prediction. But with that, we are going to conclude today's episode. Thank you all so much for listening. Thank you to my lovely guests for coming on and joining me today. Such a joy to have you guys on. And with that, this is Second Take, SBA's podcast. You could find us on all SBA socials, on Instagram, GWSBA, on LinkedIn, the George Washington Sports Business Association. I'm Alex. Thank you all for listening so much, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.